Welcome to The Man Who Built Cameroon. This is a very interesting podcast, and it's all about looking at the talents, the gifts that Cameroonians have, and what ways we can put it to work so that we can be the people that we want to be and build a more inclusive society. Our nation has been through a lot, and today's guest is someone that has been navigating challenges in our community, loves the people, a humanitarian. He really has heart for the nation. But most importantly, he understands how to navigate the terrain and have the kind of life that you want in Cameroon without getting hurt. So today, I would like to briefly introduce who our guest is and what he has to share with us. So Etienne holds a degree in logistics and transportation management with over 4 years of working experience in industrial and humanitarian logistics, particularly in health logistics, with a technical experience in fleet management, procurement process, inventory and stock management, people management, and he is interested in niching to manage complex logistic and supply chain projects via managing daily workload. So he continues his certifications and submissions in coaching. And I think this conversation is very important because many people out there don't really have an understanding of what is going on in our country. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Mr. Etienne. Mr. Etienne, you're welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roland. I'm very, very elated to be part of the podcast.
So, Etienne, I just want us to talk. For those who are getting to listen to you for the very first time, can you tell us a little bit about your background? Who is Mr. Etienne?
Okay. I'm called Tabot Etienne Lache. I hold a degree in logistics and transport management. For the past 4 years, over the past 4 years, I've been working. I've been having practical logistics skills at the industrial and humanitarian sector. And concurrently, I worked with the delegation of at the delegation of public health to gain skills in vaccines, that's coaching and vaccines management. And I'm grooming my skills, building my skills in the future to manage complex logistics and supply chain management. Particularly, I'm interested in the health sector.
Etienne, you've been navigating complex terrains throughout the struggle. Many Cameroonians have lost their lives in the process. What made your approach so dynamic that you were able to go through all of this, but yet you were not hurt? What is different about your approach?
Yes, my approach is very, very effective. What makes my approach very, very effective? First, I got to study the community I'm going to work in. I'm going to work. The second thing is I understand the cultural backgrounds. The language is sometimes very difficult, but I implement my leadership skills in managing this in order for me to be part of the community. I can give you a vivid example. For instance, I've been working in very difficult terrains. When you want to talk about terrains, we talk about Lebialem, which is one of the most difficult terrain in the southwest region. You can talk about areas in Bonga subdivision, which are areas. The terrain is not difficult, but you have very difficult challenges getting to these areas due to the presence of the non-state actors. And for the past 5 years, since the evolution of the Anglophone crisis, we have been having challenging for interventions, both at the humanitarian sector and at the level of the government. There has been a loss of trust from beneficiaries or victims in these affected communities. And so getting to these areas is a challenge, and acceptability is a challenge as well. So what I often do as a logistician, because I have to manage both materials and financial resources, but particularly the materials and the human resource are very, very complex to manage. And so navigating to these areas, I used a very simple dynamic approach, whereby first I got to work with community leaders, influential community leaders. These community leaders help me to effectively implement my activities. For instance, I can give you an example. While implementing the vaccination campaign with the outbreak of polio, getting to these communities often is very, very challenging. And to work to effectively ensure that the beneficiaries are going to receive this vaccine is another problem of its own. I have to make my intentions very clear and honest, transparent, by first educating the community what is polio all about. This is the first thing. The second thing is I need to talk with the influential leaders who go ahead to educate the communities to increase the acceptability to the communities. Now, on my path, I need to be there to educate them on the consequences of not receiving these vaccines. And particularly the community has lost trust between they have lost trust, with the government. And so I need to educate them. For instance, I can give an example. The messages like, yes, these vaccines we are receiving, you may feel and think it is coming from the government. No, it's not coming from the government. It is being sent by WHO, UNICEF, and other UN organizations who do the sponsors of these vaccines. And now WHO cannot carry out the activities because they do not understand or know the terrains of this area. And so they have to pass through the government, and the government now has to pass through its leaders. And you need to receive this vaccine because of its consequences. For instance, a vaccine like polio, you may have poliomyelitis. This is not curable, but however, you can have, you may be given some first aid if you are a victim in the future. So, to me, I feel like you should accept this vaccine because it has been tested before given to you. There are organizations which carry out tests before a vaccine is being sent to a country. At the level of the country, the vaccine is well stored before sending to your area. And even before the vaccine is being given to your children or the beneficiaries, I am here to supervise it to ensure that the vaccines which are being distributed are good vaccines for you. And so when I will give this health talk or this education about this, though I may have some resistance, but I can say 90% often are being satisfied with the education. And so they end up releasing their children. But then I do educate them as well on the consequences of not receiving the vaccine. For instance, there is this popular parlance you hear of Ebola. That's someone whose leg or maybe a hand or a fracture. You see these people who don't walk well, they often call them Ebola or maybe cotopaths.
Handicap,
Those who are good in music. Yes, handicaps. Yes. So these vaccines, if received,
Mhm.
can prevent you from having this handicap, from you being handicapped.
Yeah.
But if you don't receive it, you may likely not die. But however, the consequences of you and the challenging and the cost of you to manage this illness till maybe the day of your last breath will be challenging for you. And secondly, it will reduce your chances of your career growth or your life growth.
Mhm.
So I have to tell them, you think about this and you make a wise decision while the time is still right for you.
Powerful.
So
Let me
this is
ask.
how my career has been.
So let me ask you this
But however,
question.
I'm working on
Yes.
this.
Let me ask you this question, Etienne. A lot has gone on, right? A lot is still happening. What will you say is the current temperature right now on the ground? Are things better? Is it getting worse? Where are we right now?
Okay. At the moment, I can tell you things are getting better compared to the last 2, 3, 4 years back. When we compare to now, I can say the physical attacks, if we want to rate it, it has greatly improved. We no longer hear of attacks. We no longer hear of maybe fire exchange. And even if we do, it is far from the cities, from the urban area. This is sometimes in very difficult terrains where sometimes motorbike can only lead you there. So I can say the temperature is relatively low at the moment now
Okay, let me
as
ask.
compared to, let's say, 2020.
Okay, Etienne, we've heard instances of police brutality in the country, or maybe the military molesting citizens. This is something that many Cameroonians have raised concerns about. Hypothetically, you've navigated some of these challenges. Maybe I'm driving from, say, Boya to Moliko. I just want to get home safe, right? And I come across a police officer, the situation gets tense. Have you experienced anything like that? And how did you navigate that challenge?
Yes, personally, I haven't experienced anything as this, but I've been following up news from other TV stations. I've been following up from radio stations, and I can greatly see there is an increase in police brutality. I can give you an example. The police are out for security measures, but behind it, we have increase in attack from the police. We have, I can say, theft and bribery working from as a result of the crisis. So, but I want to applaud the work of the Cameroon Human Rights Organization, the branch in Southwest branch of the Human Rights Organization, headed by the Secretary General, Mr. Tambetiku, who is doing a great job to ensure that people or persons living in the Southwest can greatly enjoy this right. He has been doing a lot of work. The first thing he did was there was an increase in harassment by the policemen. A policeman can just stop you on the way and he says, give me your phone, and maybe they carry out maybe a search on you without you knowing even what they are looking for. And sometimes randomly you may just be walking and you may be harassed by a policeman who says, oh, that this could be a scammer, a fraudster, and you are being picked up. But of recent, I applaud the works of Mr. Tambetiku, who first he did a sensitization by calling the administrative heads of all the forces of law and order came into place, and he had to educate them on the serious attacks, permit me say attack, or harassment carried out by the forces of law and order in the field. And to this, we have been having a lot of success stories. One of the success stories is a policeman in Biaka who who harassed a pedestrian who was just walking by the way, and they came and they were harassing the person. And unfortunately, Mr. Tametiku lives around this area. And when he met them and he tried to question them, who are you? And it was a very big fight because these policemen did not know that he is the one. They have been hearing of him, but they have never seen him, his pictures, they have never met him physically. So at his interventions, he told them that, okay, what are the crimes of these guys? What is his crime? So they said, the forces of law said, this is a thief, he's a scammer. Can you prove if he's a scammer? There were no proof for him. And so he called the governor of Southwest Region. When he called him, he called the administrative heads of the forces of law, which helped to keep down this scenario. Apart from this, we have been having cases where at checkpoints, pedestrian citizens are being harassed because of not having of ID cards, and immediately they jumped into their mobile money phones, their mobile money, and the exorbitant amounts of money are being removed from their money. But I can tell you, within the context of last year, these policemen were being tracked down by the administrative authorities and sanctions were being meted. And in one of his radio broadcast, he made it very clear that some policemen were being kicked out of the corps. And if we compare, say, last 2 years, 3 years ago, to what we have now in Buea, the situation is something civilized, something which you can appreciate, something which you can really say, oh, we are moving a step forward.
Have you ever been harassed for ID cards, and how did you navigate that?
Yes, I've been harassed for ID card. At a certain moment, I was traveling from Douala to Buea, and I got at the control checkpoint in Misilele. At this point, we were asked to step down to identify ourselves. Now I was using a lost document because I misplaced my ID card, and the same ID card I misplaced, it was a receipt, and so I could not go to register for a new ID card. So I had to go to the police station and seek for advice. So I was advised by the commissioner to do a lost document while waiting for the original to come. And when I got to this checkpoint, the policeman stepped me down. I immediately stepped down because I wanted him to do his work effectively. And when he was done with everybody, he came back to me and he said, I don't have an ID card. I said, yes, I do not have an ID card, but I have a document to identify me. Behind the lost document, it carries the photocopy of the receipt of the ID card. And in front of the document was my picture. And on the document, it states that I've misplaced my ID card and I'm given a period of 3 months to sort it out, or I go in for another ID card. And so I took my time to explain this to the policeman in place, which he refused adamantly that I do not have an ID card. I said, okay, I'm sorry if I may try to go harder, but I feel and I think that if you think I do not have an ID card, you may now take me into your van straight to the police station, or you issue me a convocation to meet you at the station for not having an identification. And it really took us long because I had to stand my ground. I knew what he was looking for. He wanted me to give him bribe, but I didn't give him that opportunity. However, I was not hostile to this policeman. I was very, very friendly with my conversation, but I was straight to the point. And after 30 minutes, he told me that we are sorry, we can't release you. And he asked me to bring my bag to be searched, which I did openly. I brought my bag to him and I did the search myself because at a certain time, to be honest, I want to be honest with you, there was rumors that police people do put people to trouble by maybe putting bullets into the backs of people. It was a rumor though, but it was a serious crime as well. Imagine finding a bullet in my back. This would take me to jail. So I had to assist him to do it so that with his own watchful eyes, if I'm being incriminated, okay, I say, okay, this is what they found in my bag. I should be the one to do the search myself. And after the search, there was nothing in my bag. He asked me to pull up my dresses. He pulled up my dresses. He was searching and I asked, what is he looking in my body? He didn't answer me. So I reminded him that if this car leaves me here, if I'm going to miss this bus, then it will be a very big problem between the two of us. I'm not going to take the matter light. I'm respecting you. You two should respect me and help me gain my own time because I'm losing time. And by the end of the day, he began by asking me 10,000. I told him, I can't give you 10,000. If you needed a bottle of water, you would have told me that, please, I've been standing here for long. Could you please give me a bottle of water? Any amount, I would have given it to you without you asking me. And secondly, 10,000, then this is money which we use in making an ID card. If I have 10,000, why should I not go and issue a new ID card then for me to come here and I should be harassed by you? And after 5 minutes, he stepped down to 5,000 and later to 2,500. I told him, I do not have it. I've given you an opportunity. I've given you my time. I've given you everything. And I've gone further to tell you, if you feel I'm guilty, it is either you take me to the police station or you issue me a convocation to meet you at the judiciary police. And after a long run, he had nothing to say, he had nothing to do. And the car almost kicked off going. I wasn't tense, was friendly with him.
You didn't tell him that you know your rights. You didn't tell him all of that, like I know my rights.
No, I can't tell him I know my right because I know the situation, the environment where he's working. However, I was working on the exceptions. He was doing his job. To me, he was doing his job. Mm-hmm. And my right at that time didn't matter for me because I knew he was doing his job. But however, he was doing his job wrongly. And at that point, I felt like I wasn't safe for me to tell him I know my right. And I can't even tell him I know my right because I was already exercising the right without telling him.
Okay. Continue. So from there, what happened?
So from there, he then released me, and he was the one who even had to call the other group because there were two groups, one on the right and one on the left in front. So he was the one who called the other group and asked the car to stand, that they shouldn't allow the driver to go. And he took my bag, honestly. He took my bag. He was the one who took my bag, placed it inside the car, and he opened the door for me and he told me I'm too stubborn.
But he let you go. I can tell.
Let me go.
So in that conversation with the police officer, I can realize you had one goal in mind: to get to your destination safe.
Honestly.
So what makes your approach different from many others that end up in a situation like that, maybe get killed, get harassed, get beaten, or get shot? What can others learn from you, Mr. Etienne?
Yes, what makes my approach different is because first, I understand the context in which I'm living. Rights are good, but you need to understand the context. And the second thing was, I had to go for the exceptions. What are some of the exceptions I did? Was first for me to tell a policeman that it's either you issue me a convocation or you take me to the police station. This rings a bell that this person knows what he's doing. These are the exceptions. And the second thing was I was very calm, friendly with him. Unlike others who must have maybe make a very tense atmosphere, maybe fighting the police officer or maybe using insultive words with the police officer. No. And the third thing I did was I answered just what I know. What I don't know, I do not answer. You can ask me 10 questions. If I do not know all the 10 questions, I answer what I know. I can say there was a question he asked, particularly where do I live in Boya? And I told him I live in Deti South. And he said, now on that in quote, meaning that you are those guys. And I asked, who are those guys? Who do you refer to as those guys? Can you explain to me what you mean by who are those guys? You are those guys. At this point, he could not say anything.
So you were saying
However,
you were saying all of this. You were
with
saying all of this in a friendly tone.
in a friendly tone, yes, in a friendly tone. Please, could you explain to me what do you mean by this?
Wow.
I do not understand. Who are they and what are their missions for?
Yeah.
Yes. So particularly, I often go for exceptions because I understand the context is a very difficult one, honestly. It's a very difficult context. And the moment you try to say something out of it, you're being incriminated by these forces of law and order. And so if I get to the police station, the first thing I identify even before the police. And the second thing is I put a smile and friendly face. Most often when people get to the police station, some feel like sometimes I look at their faces, the faces of passengers in the car, you feel like you have a problem with the policeman. And sometimes the way people talk to policemen is not good. I want to be very honest. We talk to them brutally. We talk to them as if they are not human beings. We talk to them. Some even go as far as telling them, I have this person in this place. I have network. If you do this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to call the high. You understand? To me particularly, I feel and I think that they are human beings like me. And the same way I should like someone to talk to me first, I should reciprocate to talk to that person before that person talking to me. And so most often, even though I find myself in a very difficult area, but I see myself moving out of this area without any problem with anybody.
Powerful. I mean, like what you said is breathtaking. I hope that many can extract a lot of valuable lessons out of what you just shared. Another thing that I want us to pivot a little bit and take a close look at are some of the opportunities that people are not taking advantage of in the community. Either they are not aware that those maybe establishments exist. I want us to talk a little bit about that because you did a little bit of research on that, right? You did some research and you realized there were some key challenges in some distinct areas. Maybe access to information, maybe creating your ID card, or maybe access to opportunities that can provide jobs. Can you throw a little bit of light on that? There might be a Cameroonian or maybe someone in the community that knows, I want to make my ID card. I want to create an ID. Where do I go? I want access to jobs. Where do I go? Who do I need to know? Who do I need to meet? So I want to ask, can you brief us a little bit on that research and what you found out and how the people can benefit
Yes,
from that?
I did the research on that. I feel I got to understand that many Cameroonians are not well informed. Uh, we understand we are in a digital era, but I feel we are misusing the era for something which is not beneficial for us. I will want to begin with the information. Most Cameroonians are not reliably informed. Let me begin with career and development. Most Cameroonians, we can say now, if you ask them, why are you studying this? They won't give you an answer. But as the year goes by, you see 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, sometimes 10,000 studying a particular field without them having an idea of what this field could produce to them. Particularly, let me talk about myself. In 2016, when I wanted to begin my university studies, I wanted to do banking and finance. But then I had a coach, an academic coach, who called me and he said, Etienne, please, what do you want to study? And I said, I want to do banking and finance. And he asked me, okay, can you briefly explain to me why you want to do banking and finance? At this point, I was dumbfounded. I couldn't explain to him. And he asked me, do you have a coach in banking and finance? Or do you think you will have a coach in banking and finance? I tried to murmur and say, okay, in the course of my study, I'll get one. Then he asked me, what is the employment rate of banking and finance in Cameroon, in Africa, and in the world? These questions stretched me out, and by the end of the day, I had nothing to say. Then he asked me, have you think of new opportunities that people do not know of these opportunities, but they are selling, the job market is selling? I stood quiet and I couldn't respond to him. And he told me that, have you heard of logistics? I said, no, that I've never heard of logistics. So he gave me a topic to read on logistics, to read on the job market of logistics, to read on the careers of logistics, and to read on how I can possibly earn a job in logistics immediately I'm leaving school. This took me a year. For that year, I didn't go to school, honestly, because it was really time for me to work, for me to set a very good career for myself. It took me a year, and I had to research and research and research and research. And by the end of the day, honestly, I decided to abandon the banking and finance, which I wanted to do, and I went in for logistics. Now,
Okay,
when I got to logistics,
you had not yet gone. You had not yet gone to university. You were still thinking about what to study.
Yes,
but
I was still thinking.
So you abandoned that idea right there, and decided to go into logistics.
Right there.
Okay, continue from there.
Decided to go to logistics. Now, when I went into logistics, before going to class, I already have a good background and detailed knowledge on logistics and where I can possibly find my market, because I have to market myself based on what I've studied. And at the level of my universities, now then I began looking for a career coach. And by the end of the day, I felt with my present career coach, Mr. Njehans Osa, who picked me up. He single-handedly picked me up in class, and he said, I look very serious and I'm going to be a potential worker or employee within 6 months. And he gave me some advices. And I think the first thing he asked me was, do you know just within you, there are a lot of jobs within your area? I said, no. I know I can only find my job in Douala. He said, no. That within me, there are a lot of jobs, but because I'm not reliably informed of the job market, that is the reason why I feel myself lacking. Now he asked me, have you heard of humanitarian logistics? And with the current crisis in the Northwest and Southwest, I should take advantage of of the crisis in order for me to grow. This is what he told me. And by the end of the day, I had to work with him for 3 months intensely, out of class. This is out of class work, working with him. And when I worked with him, when I left school, in less than 6 months, I picked up a job, a very good job, where I began working. And even before I picked up that job, he introduced me to certifications. These certifications now helped solve the problems which I have not even met. That when I got the job, I began solving those problems like I've been working.
Wow.
So this answers the problem of reliable information.
Yeah.
Because I know if I'm looking for a job, I should go to these sites. These are the websites for Cameroon jobs. These are the websites for Africans jobs. These are the websites for international jobs, European, in US. He gave me all this information. Where can I find these jobs? And for my studies for career development, because he made something for me to understand. He told me that I cannot grow if I don't study. And the moment I pick up a job, that he's giving me 6 months for me to master that office. And then I'll be having challenges, but I should focus more on my certifications. That those certifications now, it should not be like I'm building certifications, but they will be answering day-to-day challenges, problems in the office.
Yeah.
He gave me both logistics and leadership programs. This helped me now to create a niche that within me and my course-mates or my classmates, which we were working, I became somebody different. And I bet you they were asking me, Etienne, why are you going so fast and we are not growing? I told them that I'm ready to work. This is the reason why I'm going fast. If you see me, I'm growing, you may feel like I'm growing, but I'm dying, because when you guys are sleeping, I'm up studying. And the challenges I'm facing has strengthened me to where I am, because you can get a job. My coach told me that it is easy for you to get a job, but it is difficult for you to keep that job. I thought he was joking. I never knew what the statement meant. That it is easy for you to get a job because you can master the interview, do everything. But the day you are put into that office, you have you and that office to manage. And if you don't develop, or if you don't get the goals at office, you're being fired. Nobody will want to understand why you didn't get the goal. The first question is, did you get the goal? You didn't get the goal. And so you're trying to move the company or the organization backward. And so you're fired.
So
he told me it is very easy to get a job, but it is difficult.
You know, one thing right there, Etienne, one thing that baffles me is how many percent of Cameroonians do you think understand what you know? Like, because is it luck? Is it grace alone? Or is it that you were able to listen to timely information and take action? Plus luck, plus grace, which led you to where you are? Or will you say it was just grace? You've not put in any work? And will you say it's just grace? Because when we see successful people in our community, I've heard many people say, you were just lucky. You had the grace of God over your life to be where you are. What will you say to those people?
Yes, I want to say I'm a Christian, but I would differ with if someone tells me it is grace, it is luck. I believe more in hard work. Now the grace now comes in now to just back you up. As a Christian, honestly, the grace now comes to back you up, to get you to where you are. If I've listened to great people, I've tried to read books on Dangote's, how he started and where he finds himself today. I've listened to great leaders like Aya Paul, who just passed away. I've been listening to programs, and I got to understand personally from my career coach, even him himself he doesn't sleep. There is a moment he spends 4 hours to sleep for a 24 hours day.
Yeah.
If he have slept, is 4 hours. And he began training me to this direction that the moment I sleep, my brain sleeps off, and my office do too will sleep as well. And so I don't believe in, I can say there is luck, but I think 90% or 95% or 98% is based on having hard work, not only hard work, but having the right information on time and you working on that information. And particularly with my peers, they are interested in money and not building their careers. Of recent, last week, I told a friend that there is a way you can build your career and money will hunt for you and you will not hunt for money. I told them, why do you think a consultant is hired for an hour and he's being paid $1,000, $2,000, and you are working in that same office 8 hours and you are being paid maybe $200?
Okay.
Don't you think he has built value? Don't you think the time you are using to sleep or go for snacks, go for clubbing, he is there studying, searching for problems? Because at times you may not even have the problems. You need to look for the problems.
Yeah.
You search, you do your research to understand what could be your problem, what could be the problem the company may face or the organization may face in the nearest future. Don't you think if you go this extra mile, it will take a lot of sacrifices? It will take a lot of burnt out, because you need to manage your office to ensure that your office your office will meet the organizational objective. But at the same time, you need to train yourself, because you do not need to stay in this office for 2 years plus. You need to grow. And this is the same thing my coach, my career coach particularly told me, that Etienne, you have maximum to stay in a particular position for 2 years. And after 2 years, your manager should tell you that you need to go to the next position.
Yeah.
Because he is seeing the effort and the values you are bringing to that organization or the company. And so whoever comes to listen to, for me to talk to, I tell them, this is what I was told and it is helping me personally. And so I will like and I will wish that if you follow this lane, it will not be a difficult one, to be honest. I tell them the truth, that it is, don't think maybe you're seeing me, I'm controlling things, I'm managing people, and you feel like maybe it's just easy. It's not easy as well. But then I have to put myself together to see that we realize this goal. And so if we work and we work and we work and we work, you will get the objectives you have been expecting.
So let me see this. Let me see. Don't right there. So with what you are saying, you had a career coach, and I think from my understanding, many Cameroonians they start first with the wrong education.
Yes.
And then secondly, they don't have a career.
Many Cameroonians. Yes. Let us start with, I would like to mention these two things. Many Cameroonians are studying or find themselves in the wrong fields. The second thing is, that's the wrong education for themselves. And the second thing is, they do not love their fields. They are out for money and not to work.
So the problem right there, Etienne, is it not the government? Is it the problem from the government? The fields that the people choose, is that caused by the government?
No, I do not think it's the government.
So it's a choice. It's a personal choice that people make.
Yes, it's a problem of a personal choice. For instance, I can tell you, I did a survey last month, and I was asking a lot of people who are into the Department of Nursing, this general nursing. And I was asking them, you did French literature, philosophy, and you find yourself into nursing. Why are you here? Don't you think it is a deficit to you? And this is just the response they gave to me. I'm traveling abroad. I'm doing this just to travel abroad because I'll go and work my money. Now, if you think of this statement, he or she doesn't have the love for that job. They are out for money. The second thing is, this person is not well oriented. Yes, you can leave French, English, literature, philosophy to do nursing, but the orientation is poor because this person will not have the right information even in the class. At the level of the class, I can try to push the blame to the government, but then I cannot say 100% this blame goes to the government, because as an individual, I have to give my personal effort.
Yeah.
If the government is not meeting my objectives, if the government doesn't meet my objective, then I should strive for ways to meet my own objectives. I want to be very honest with you. Studying logistics in school with the certifications I did are two different things. I got to understand that the certifications carries the practical part of it and the reality and the daily challenges in the field. Why in the classroom is just theory and something very different from what you see in the field. And at the level of the classroom, most teachers are not trained teachers. Sometimes it's a part-time teacher who is in class. He's not well informed. I remember the first time I went for my internship at the Douala Seaport with Bolloré Transport and Logistics. The experience I got there, when I got to class, I had to ask my teachers questions and none of them could respond. This is because they have no field experience. And so whatever they are teaching me, some even go to the internet, download notes, and give to us to read, and give us an exam to write. But that is not what is going to solve the problem in the field.
Yeah. So with that, let me ask you one question, Etienne. So when you shared this strategy of career development to your friends, what was their response? Like, what did they say when you said, this is what I did? I did not only listen to this coach, I went on to change my career, what I wanted to study in school, from banking and finance, and you got into logistics, and then you took these certifications. When you shared that process with them, what was their response? I'm interested to hear.
Yes. The response was negative, honestly. I want to tell you, the response was negative. I can tell you, for over 10 people who have shared my experiences with, I had 3 who wanted to follow my path. But then the challenges they faced made them to drop off. Honestly, I can tell you that nobody I can really boast that I share my experience with, and the person decided to do not necessarily from logistics, but from his or her own career, apart from my fiance, who took the bold step. She's the only one who took the bold step, and
wow,
she's doing great and marvelous, honestly.
And she followed your blueprint and she's successful.
She's successful, honestly.
No. So this is how we create models. This is how we create. Yes, go ahead, Etienne.
Yes, but the challenges, I don't know what the challenges could be, because I often tell people the truth that I do not see people and envy. I do not envy people. When I see people growing in their career, I do not admire them. I do not admire and I do not envy. Rather, I go close to them and ask them, what is your secret? Can you share your secret with me? And if you're willing to share your secret with me, can I follow your path? can you tell me where you went wrong? I'm particularly to know where you went wrong, not because I want to laugh at you, but because I know that I will still go the same way. These are the exceptions. In my career, I took exception more personal than the norms. And that is why when I see a successful person, I already have at the back of my knowledge, this person is hardworking, this person is studying, this is the norm. But then I will go further to understand the exceptions. What were your challenges? How do you maneuver over your challenges? When you got to this point, what did you do? How did you settle scores in an office where you find maybe there is settlement of scores?
Mhm.
And to be honest, when you meet people who are interested to know, you give them everything. And I've been benefiting from this because I met people
Yes.
who were willing to give information, but their fear was they were giving the information to the wrong persons.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have told me this, that there are a lot of young people whom they want to mentor, but their fear is they are giving their information to the wrong person.
So let me ask you
they
this.
feel this.
Yes. So let me ask you this question, Etienne. You didn't think that the people who were successful maybe did some juju? They probably have maybe the best native doctor in town. And so that is what inspires them to be successful. You didn't think that? Why? Because I've heard these are philosophies in the community, right? When you see somebody that is successful,
Yes.
they are probably voodoo. Maybe all they've done is gotten their money in an illegal way. You didn't think that way. You didn't have that kind of thinking towards them. What made you different? Like, why did you think that the people probably are hardworking? Probably, why? Why did you have that perspective? Did somebody teach you this? How did you come about that?
Okay, this is my perception. First, I'm coming from a Christian background, and seriously, I love God. But however, what makes me different is someone from a traditional or a herbalist believed in whatever concoction he prepares to gain favor. Those who say they are Christians believe that they could pray for 20 hours for God to give them that job. And what makes me different is that I believe in God, yes, but then I'm not a pastor. I'm not called to preach in the pulpit. If not, I should be studying my Bible and be praying all my time. So I'm called to work in an office. And so if I'm studying my Bible for 2 hours, I have my books or my research to do for 10 hours. This will get this with the effort I'm putting in, God can literally take me to where I'm going to. Remember, the Bible says that even before we were born, He knows us. And therefore, if I want to say I want to remain praying in the altar, praying everywhere, I will not get the job I want to get. Yes, I'm good in praying, but that's not the purpose of God in my life. And that is why the Bible says to every person, He gave him something.
Yeah.
Everybody has a unique, a niche that makes you unique from any other person. And so, in as much as maybe in the African society, I want to be very honest, witchcraft and all the rest is taking lead. People use it for them to gain jobs. Personally, I don't use it. I believe in hard work and I trust in God.
Powerful. I mean, on that note, Etienne, let's pivot a little bit now. So we've talked about career. You said there were 3 key things you've addressed. Career, like what do you even start with? Like what do you go study in school and how you go about that? Now, what is the next step? What do you think people are facing challenges with? Maybe it has to do with accessing opportunities. Like you've talked about people trying to mentor others and they feel like they might be wasting that knowledge. on the wrong person. So, what are the challenges people are facing when it comes to looking for opportunities in the community, and what do you think they are missing? What are they missing out?
The challenges people are facing in the community is that first, I think in logistics we have three key problems to solve: the right time, the right cost, and the right place. And you find some persons in the wrong place using the wrong time at a very high cost.
Okay.
Let me break it down. For instance, if I'm to study, if I'm looking for a job, I'm looking for a job now. And as a logistician, I've said, okay, I'm a logistician. Now, that doesn't answer my questions. Am I particularly in industrial logistics or in humanitarian logistics? If it is humanitarian logistics, okay, my job market should be in the crisis areas. If it is industrial logistics, then I should walk up to Douala, the economic capital of Cameroon.
Yeah.
I can easily secure a job here.
Makes sense.
I'm niching myself in the right place. Now, the timing. What do I, at that time, do I have the necessary skills to get that job? If yes, where is the job? If no, where can I get those skills? I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get it.
The picture I'm trying to put out.
So if somebody starts, Etienne, with the wrong degree or go to school, choose the wrong degree, they're already screwed up because they never started with the job market in mind. Like, what am I going to do with this degree? So already they are already screwed up. I understand now you're niching. If it's humanitarian, now you're going into those conflict zones. If it's industrial, you're moving to Douala, right, where those industries are, right? So you that's a niche. You're looking for that niche,
yes.
right?
So yes, I'm creating a niche for that. Then, if I do not have the necessary skills, these skills, do I need to do a research? Can I get them through certifications? If I have the skills through certification, do I have a coach? Because certifications, you can do all the certifications, but I bet you what a coach can tell you for 1 minute is 10 times far from what you are going to study for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Honestly.
That's true.
So the timing now comes in. Then when you get now to the cost now, you need to understand I'm a logistician. Maybe I have to find myself in Douala. Maybe I need to find myself in Boya, in Bamenda. Now the cost comes in. Can I manage the resources available in the organization? How can I help the organization or the company to reduce its costs and increase profits? It becomes a very technical problem. What if I can't do it? Does the company or the organization have resources, libraries, documents that I can consult to get information on this? What are the assets of the organization? Does the organization have partners whom they are working with on this? You need to think about all of this. And most importantly, my level of education, does it align with that of the company objectives?
Okay.
A lot of people fall out from this. Honestly. And so it becomes now a challenge for you. Like I said, when you identify a problem, it is easy to solve.
That's true.
And if you can't identify a problem, it becomes very complex.
Powerful.
Because problems will be around you, but you can't identify them. And by the end of the day, you end up messing up. You mess up everything. And maybe your human resource manager may call you that, Mr. Etienne, we employed you 6 months ago. These were your objectives, but we are sorry. You didn't attain our objectives, and we are already shutting down or running out of our goals. Please, if you don't mind, we will like not to continue with your contract again.
And they terminate you.
And you may feel like the organization doesn't love you. Maybe there is someone putting hatred. Maybe there is bias. No.
Maybe the people in the village have called your name.
Honestly, sometimes that is what you will think. Honestly, you say all sort of things, but you will not want to identify that you were the problem because you found yourself maybe in the wrong place or in the wrong time or at the wrong cost. You were using the wrong cost to manage those resources.
Powerful.
And so, by the end of the day, you leave the office.
So then another thing that I wanted us to touch, like I think we talked about this earlier, information being circulated within a close community. People don't have access to the right information, or maybe there's information that is not exposed to the wider community, and people don't even have the interest or don't know how to go look for that information. Can you maybe touch on that a little bit? Because this is all messed up right now. Because I'm somebody who is very practical, right? I believe, like what you said, if you start wrong, there's a high chance that you are going to make a lot of you're going to make a lot of mistakes, right? You have a lot of challenges, and you might have to come back to square one. Like because right now I'm finding it difficult to continue with this conversation. Why? Because if the person starts with the wrong career, or maybe if they start with the wrong certification, the wrong education, there is no way to talk about putting these people into a job market. Are you tracking? Because if you studied maybe the literature, the philosophy, we don't know what to do with you right now, because this is what we have. What we have right now is logistics. This is what the country is struggling with right now. This is where opportunities are right now. We are not looking for teachers. We are looking for those who can do logistics. So if you don't start with the right education, we don't even know what to do right now. What would be your take to those who probably started with the wrong education, Etienne? Because one thing I love this conversation is because you live there. This is what you've experienced. And this is what you have been able to do with your life. If a friend of yours, maybe they had the idea of studying nursing because they want to travel abroad, and now the abroad did not turn out to be a good idea because maybe they didn't make progress with that, what will you say to them? Should they humble themselves and go back and look for a problem in the community and go back to school? What should they do right now? Because we are talking about nation building. How to build our community, how to build a sustainable private sector that works with the government. That is what we are all about. Is that basic, right? Because we believe private sector is the backbone of every economy. That is facts. America, 90% of the jobs in America is created in the private sector, not the government. So number one, do you think that the problem in Cameroon lies entirely with the government? And number two, where do your peers go right now? What should they do if they have already screwed up and this is where they find themselves?
Okay. The problem in Cameroon, personally, I think lies within an individual first, for not choosing the right job, for not having the right information, and secondly, with the government making her processes very difficult. Let me talk now about an individual. I would like to talk about an individual better. Now we have a lot of trenches on social media. We have the aspect of TikTok. We have the aspect of Facebook game, the aspect of WhatsApp. Now, a lot of it will be a mind blowing for you to understand, to be in this army, that a lot of people can construct a single sentence. A lot of people can write a simple essay. A lot of people, young people coming, can't even um, name the institutions of their country. I'm particularly concerned about this. If you check my Facebook page, there was an article I wrote about using the wrong information. This wrong information, I had to niche my skills in career. Particularly, I spoke about TikTok, that in Cameroon, we are not good in entertainment. This is a fact. We are not good in entertainment. This is something which has to grow maybe with time. But when you come to industrialization, when you come to agriculture, when you come to maybe entrepreneurship and other sectors which are boosting, they are of high value in Cameroon. Now, why will a child go to school? A handset is like a support, an assistant for that child, first to adapt his or herself with the increased technology in the world now.
Yeah.
But then, why will a child deliberately refuse to study and he or she spends his or her time 10, 20 hours on TikTok? How would this be profitable to you? This is a very big challenge. This is currently what is going on here.
Okay.
In the field. Using a wrong gadget at the wrong time. Because to me, I do not see a child who is supposed to be studying now to create a perfect path or career for himself or herself. You are on TikTok. You are on this. And I will bet to tell you that I had a child, one of my sister's child, who is my niece, who had the GC O levels. And when I saw his result, I wasn't pleased.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't pleased. And I advised him to repeat because he had 6 papers. He had 6C. And to make the matter worse, he had no combination, no series for lower seat. He was lacking at least 2 subjects to make a series. And when I advised him at home, he took me for granted. So I had to push forward. I went to school. Instead of going to a privately school, I went to a government school. And there we were advised to meet a counselor. And the counselor, this is the words of the counselor. He said, if this is your brother, I will advise him as a father, as a counselor, but particularly I'm paying attention as a father because I have kids and he has a career to build for himself in future.
Yeah.
I'm advising him to repeat this class because with this 6C, I feel and I think that he will make a better series with good grades this academic year.
Yeah.
These are his words. And when he finished, I told him, thank you, sir, that I thought the same, I had the same thoughts and I shared with him. But then I really wanted you to talk to us because maybe he may be having some feelings. I may be having some bias for him and all the rest. And would you imagine this child, instead of I gave him all the accessories for him to study, hired a private teacher for him at home in order to see him because he's a slow learner. He doesn't learn fast. So I had to do everything to encourage him to study. But it was so amazing. It was so dismayed to see that instead of this child studying, he was spending his time on TikTok and Facebook and WhatsApp. Now I had to seize the gadget and I told him that there is time for everything. You are going to have your time to use all these social media handles. But for now, your priority is your education. Get your education, get your certificate.
Yeah.
And when you find yourself in the university, if you feel and you think that your niche is is found in the entertainment industry, then you can go. But then I was already planning a niche for him. I told him of monitoring and evaluation, which is a job which is selling now. I told him of project management, which is selling as well, which many Cameroonians are not aware of this. But I told him the choice is yours because I'm out to give you the information and you have the right to choose or you reject whatever I'm going to give to you. This is just a sample in within my own confinement.
Yeah.
And outside of it, you have many Cameroonians
Yeah.
who have voluntarily refused to study. And there is this popular balance going on, like you go to school, those who have been going to school, where are the jobs? And on a certain day, I asked my neighbor that, do you know in Cameroon, there are people earning 1 million, 2 million, 3 million francs without them having godfathers godfathers or using the marabouts or the charms around.
Yeah.
Then she told me that it's a lie, that I'm not honest to myself. I told him that I'm honest to myself. This is why I'm telling, because I have met with people, I have worked with people who are earning this huge amount of money. But then, how did they find themselves in these places where they are?
Yes.
These are the questions where we should be asking ourselves. How do they find themselves here? What did they take? What took them to these positions?
Yeah.
That have you asked yourself these questions? Don't you believe that in a very difficult terrain, people do succeed?
Okay.
He said, no, the regime in power has made life difficult. I said, no, it's because we have refused to interpret the challenges we are facing. And that is the reason why we are just falling prey of the current situation.
Powerful. So let me ask you one question.
Come to think of it.
Yes, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Come to think of it. Don't you know that while you are falling, others are progressing? These were the questions I was asking her. Why you are falling, others are progressing. And he asked me, what type of a question is that? I said, yes, because you are lacking in so many areas and you are showing no effort for you to grow. Okay, now I'm ready to give you this information. This is the information I want to give to you. Go and search, get a career coach first. The second thing is,
yes,
you burn your midnight candle, work tirelessly, and give mutual respect to everybody you see, because you do not know who you meet on a daily basis.
There you go. Come on, tell me about
that. You do
not
know who the person is. And you do not know how this person can be influential in your career.
Mm-hmm.
When you spoke about luck, there was something I wanted to say, but it skipped up on my mind. The aspect of luck comes in a situation where you worked with people nicely, people do enjoy your services, and in that crowd, you treated everybody fairly and equal. In this case now, maybe it could just be a recommendation.
Yeah.
Daddy, mommy, I found myself in this situation today, and the way this person treated me well, I feel like this position, we have been looking for this person. This person can be a good fit for this position. Stress-free.
Yep.
So I told them, you need to work very well, excessively well, excellent, without mistakes. And even when you find yourself doing mistakes, you need to readdress those mistakes and you apologize for them. This will make you exceptional in your field. I spoke about this, and this girl was listening to me. And to be honest, she had her HND, and in less than 6 months after her HND, she picked up a job in Dakar. She's now in Senegal. And she told me that I never knew what you were telling me was true until I tried it.
So her life is changed today.
Her life is changed today, and the life of her family has changed because of her. Because of a simple advice I gave to her. I told her that I do not collect money. I do not sell my skills. This is just what God has given me. I took this from somebody for free. They didn't sell it for me. I didn't buy anything. I had just to listen and work on it. So I'll give it to you free. And whatever your challenges are, I'm not your career coach, but I may guide you. But I will advise you to get a career coach. And she's in Senegal, Dakar today working.
Wow. So with that story that you just shared, I mean, Etienne, this conversation is very interesting. I mean, I wish many Cameroonians get to watch this. And I think we really have to set up maybe a career coaching center just to guide people on what to choose. I think this is something huge in our community. And I think maybe we'll set up structures to help people who are like with the human right thing you just talked about. People don't know their rights in the community so that they can know who to call, right? Or maybe if they need a service of a lawyer, how do they contact that lawyer? I think these are all maybe things we have to do for the private sector if we want our country to be great. Now, within what you've said, like, I've realized it's difficult for many Cameroonians to ask questions. People have opinions. People have perspectives that they project. Is that something you've experienced? Like, people don't ask questions. Like, if they see somebody is successful, people just make assumptions. They don't ask questions. Is that something you've experienced on your path? And what is your take on that?
Yes, this is something which I've experienced. A lot of people see others successful, but they are not ready to ask questions. And I want to tell you that I feel pain whenever I come across these situations. When they see you progressing, they do not ask questions, but they have time for gossip. And there is this popular thing I often tell people that in Pidgin, permit me use the word in Pidgin.
Yes, go ahead. Come on.
That headway no get helper must get sense. Headway no get helper must get sense.
Yes.
Loosely translated, anyone who doesn't have a helper, he should be intelligent and he should have wisdom working with people.
Yeah.
If I find myself meeting someone like you, I'm passionate about what you do, I have to ask questions. I have to understand the advantages and the disadvantages of the career I have chosen or what you have chosen, since I have to learn from you. And there is something I told a friend this afternoon, that when you walk alone, the journey is very difficult for you. But when you walk with a hand holding you back, the journey becomes very easy for you. And he asked me, please, could you expand on this? I said, when you walk alone and you kick your leg, it becomes an experience for you. And you go through pain for it to heal. But when you walk with someone holding your hand, having a hand on you, before you even get to a position where you fall, you're already informed about it. And even if you fall, there are, we call them first aid.
Yeah.
The first aid is what the person teaches you that okay, you are falling, but this is what you were supposed to do at this point now, and I'm advising you to do it. This makes your journey very easy for you to walk through. This makes your journey very easy for you to walk through. So when I spoke about this to my friend, and he said, Etienne, you're right about this. And so it has been, that's just the way, that's
Then
just my take on this one.
yeah, then let's wrap up things. What do you think the government is missing out? Uh, and what do you think the government is
Yes.
missing out with? Yes,
The
with all of
aspect
it.
of what the government is missing out, the government has created complex administrative procedures. I do not have detailed information about this, but I think with what I've read so far, the government has created difficult administrative procedures that those who are willing to take up the challenge cannot even take up this challenge because uh, the administrative procedures are very, very challenging for them. So it's but complex, I can say, for someone to succeed honestly in the private sector. The second thing is the government is using its arms to close the private sector. Uh, if you ask me why, let me explain. How will you explain that the government, after CDC, it's the government who is the highest employer in Cameroon? There's a question mark here. Wouldn't it have been the private sector
Yeah,
who is ready to boost the market as taxes and at the same time employ the citizens of that country? So this is the little I have about this,
makes
honestly.
sense.
And the government now using concourse, because now you see a lot of people, a lot of citizens now after their university degrees or maybe after their advanced level certificate, you see the next thing is they tell you, I'm writing a concourse to pick a job in the government. And worst of all, they will tell you immediately I'm done with the concourse, I'll be looking for my money to travel out while my salary is uh I'll be having my salary, but I'll be out of the country. So it's a great deficit for the government. If the government is ready to to reduce its administrative the ambiguity of the administrative procedures, I think it will really boost the private sectors who will be coming in, especially entrepreneurs who will be coming in now to boost the the, the institutions
Yeah.
and even the country as well.
But one thing that I see, Etienne, you started with the individual and then you went to the government. Uh, I want to be realistic with this, right? So if we have many individuals running around with the wrong education, it is hard for that individual with the wrong education to have a job in that private sector or even within that government to start with.
Yes.
If they don't have a career
Yes.
coach, they are going to struggle. If they are not informed, they go with the status quo, right? So, and if you look at all of this, my thing is, we need to have a private sector that functions, a human being, an individual that starts on the right path, or right now make the necessary adjustments to get on the right track. Because I know for a fact, Etienne, and this is how we wrap up this session. If you, after the experience you've had at your job right now, let's say hypothetically you lose your job. Here we are connecting to go do something amazing. This is not government, right? Because why? We can see things differently, right? We can see things differently. Hypothetically, imagine that you lose your job tomorrow. I can tell that you can probably get into consulting or coaching and still make money. And not only that, there are other organizations or companies that might be willing to hire you instantly because of your mindset, number one, because of the advice that you've been able to receive on your journey. So there is a high potential for you to never ever be out of a job or lack something to do with your life to be creative in that country. So looking at this individual right now, there are many things we can do together. Are you tracking? Because you will be of you are creative, right? I can tell you're somebody that looks at things different. Because number one, I work with people based on attitude. Number one, skill or whatever thing I believe can be trained. We can train you on that. But if you have the wrong attitude, we are off. There's no way to help someone when they think that everything is bad. There is no way to succeed. Everybody's against you. You need juju to succeed. You need luck to succeed. Only you need luck, or maybe you need to work with someone that sees life from a positive angle, if that makes sense. So that is a good place to start, right? So I think before we get to the government, if everyone, at least most individuals, started right or go now and do the right thing and have something valuable to offer, if that government doesn't hire them, they can even go into business. They can team up with other like-minded individuals and start something. Is that making any sense? Does that ring a bell? Oh, yeah. What is your take on that?
I think let me share you an experience. I lived sometimes I do visit Kumba where my uncle do a petty business, and this business he often pay they call it council tax. Sometimes £1,000 per month, and most often he pays for a year. That's £24,000. But of recent, there was I think it was maybe a match between the Department of Taxation and the council of that area of Kumba, whereby because of the insecurity, councils, tax officials could not go to the field any longer, and so they were using the council workers to collect taxes in the market. And one particular thing pulled my attention, whereby a table where we often pay £2,000, and maybe, okay, let's say because of the finance law, there have been increasing taxes and all the rest, and now we are being charged to pay £20,000. This is exorbitant, honestly. And to me, I feel like though it's not the government, but officials are using government institutions to destroy the citizens in the country. I want to be very, very honest with this.
Yes.
Officials are using government institutions to destroy their citizens in the country. And particularly, I was painting the picture of the government because, to me, when the government is increasing the number of concours and shutting down the private sector, if not completely, but let's say a random of maybe 60% to 70%, I feel like the government is not encouraging the private sector. If not, the government should reduce the number of concours. For instance, for you to get into any department into the country, you need to write a concours. And for you to even write that concours, some people or those whose names are in the meritorious list are not even the people who merit it. These are people, it's a fact, these are people who has gone behind and given some kind of bribe of huge sum of money. Imagine giving $2,000 for you to secure a job or for you to be awarded that concours for that position. And by the end of the day, this is the feedback. Those who are in class already know that, okay, my mother will secure me a job by getting me into Cancun, into this place, into this place, into this place. And I can tell you, a certain woman told me when I was trying to tutor her on the job market so that let her children begin even while at the elementary state of the primary and the nursery state. She told me that she has her money. Before her children get to that position, she will secure a job for her children. Then
Wow.
I told her that you can secure a job for your child, but be rest assured that job can leave your child at any moment. Whether it's a government institution, whether it's a private institution, if your child doesn't have the good character and attitude for that office,
Yeah.
I bet you that child will not stay in that office.
So on
I
that,
told him.
so to ask that right there, Etienne, I think I have to let you go, but let me ask you, the reason why the government is closing down the private sector, do you think is because people go study the literature, the history, and so there is not even opportunity for them to do something in the private sector? Or do you think the private sector is shutting down as a deliberate attempt of the government to shut down the private sector and then raise concours? Or are the concours opportunities that they need as government? What is your take on that? Can you give me that, answer that in 2 minutes, and then we wrap this up?
Yes, this is a two-sided question. First, a two-sided answer, sorry. First, the citizens or the persons or whoever, they have deliberately refused to understand the context in which they find themselves. And the government on its own part has deliberately on its own refused to give the right information. Because if the government was releasing institutions, the private institutions, it will now help those who are coming up for jobs to understand the market more better. But then if the private sector is not working, it's not functional, it's not active, now those who the students, the university students coming up now will be focusing their mind based on what the government is giving.
That is exactly what
So
we
it's
are.
a two-sided way.
That's exactly what we will be doing, Mr. Etienne. And I think as we revive the private sector, we will find every information that is needed and make sure that we put it out there so that Cameroonians can be able to access that information and adjust accordingly. If that makes sense.
Exactly.
And I think that'll be a huge
Exactly.
work. We will put in the work, and I think we can pull this off. So, Mr. Etienne, thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate everything that you have said from the depth of my heart. It was an in-depth conversation, and I think there will be a lot of value for many to learn out of this video. Is there any one minute thing you have to say to the people before you go?
Okay, I want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. It has been something which I have been learning within me, and sometimes I often tell myself that there may be a day that will come that I will need to talk this out. I don't know who is watching, and I want to say first I apologize where I find myself now. I left for field work, and so I'm not in the office. That's the reason why you can see me using the atmosphere directly.
Yeah.
I'll be leaving yesterday directly to the house, so I apologize for this. But then I had to make out time because it was part of my schedule, and at the same time I had a priority today to meet up in the field, so I couldn't just uh, give it out because it's gonna cause a breakdown tomorrow if I'm not in the field today.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity, immensely from my heart, for me sharing these opportunities. And I'm very, very open. I do not need anybody to pay me, or you just need to be serious, honestly. If I meet
Awesome.
someone who is serious and willing to learn, I give out everything I have. And I think by me giving out this information, it will not help only me, but it is going to help any other person who is serious with his or her own life. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Etienne. Have a wonderful rest of your day and remain blessed.
A better one for you.